Hey guys, how's it going? Coach Tyson from Ox Strength, and today we're going to be doing a slightly different video on this channel, and that is reviewing the Vivo Primus Lite 3. And why I thought of this idea was because before I bought these shoes, I looked for a lot of videos on the internet, and I couldn't find that many that were directly catered towards powerlifters and like a powerlifter's review. There weren't too many, so I thought like once I buy these shoes and wear it for some time, I would make one of my own so that you guys can make your own purchase decision. Alright, so why did I think of getting these shoes? Because like normally I don't like to keep changing my equipment just because once they're comfortable, I like to use them for as long as possible. But then I was basically using the Sabo deadlift shoes for a very long time, and these aren't the exact pair, but something like this for a very long time. And then I wore it for almost 4 to 5 years, and they were quite nice, and they gave me no problems with my deadlifting style, and they were quite good shoes. At least I thought they were good shoes, and then I wore them for many years, unless like my sole completely got peeled off by just overuse, and then I started to slip on the carpet. So it was quite concerning because I was going to compete in a few weeks time, and I needed to buy some shoe that wouldn't slip on the carpet, or like something that would be more reliable for me. So I was looking into a lot of shoes. I looked into some of the notorious slippers, the different version of those shoes, but I had a few problems with those shoes as well, which I will talk about in a bit. But then that was basically how I started to buy new shoes, and then finally landed for these shoes as my final shoes that I would deadlift in. And of course these don't come without any disadvantages. There's got a few cons, but I am able to overcome those things, and that's what I will be talking about here. So when I'm looking at a deadlift shoe, except like this is a Vivo Barefoot shoe, but then their main agenda is to have your feet sort of like how they would feel if you were completely barefoot, and feel the ground as you walk. But those are not the stuffs that I was really looking forward when I bought the shoe, because I don't really care about those things rather than performance and how it would affect me as a lifter. So what am I looking for usually is how low to the ground are these shoes, how much grip there is, and how much lateral support that I could get out of these shoes, and how comfortable they were while I wear it through the entire workout. So those are basically the only things that I'm looking into these shoes. So once after the shoes, I got some of the slippers, but then instantly I realized that these shoes were like really grippy. Like I'd been missing a lot of grip factor in my previous shoes. So that was like my first concern. Like grip was really good on the slippers, but I ran into the problem of over slipping, meaning like when I was trying to wedge my feet outside and then sort of do like an external rotation, then my heels would almost slip out of the shoe, sort of like opening my shoe itself. And that didn't feel really secure. There was some of the sumo sole shoes that were quite nice, but then like it didn't feel comfortable. I tried to size down, I tried the different versions, and I found like a sort of decent-ish fit shoe, but that was about it. But not enough lateral support, and especially while wearing like an ankle high top, I would expect some of the stability to come even from my ankle, because this run quite high. Those shoes weren't able to give me. And then I was recommended this shoe by a friend, and then on the internet I was looking at some of the elite level guys who use it as well. And I think this shoe is sort of like not the best in terms of lateral support, but it's so close to the ground, like the closest shoe I think to the floor from any other shoes that I've worn, including the notorious lifts, Gen 1, Gen 2, Gen 2.5, and all of the shoes. And that is with the included insole that the shoe comes with. But then like any other deadlift shoe, I removed the insole, and then it was ready to go. So this was pretty good in that sense altogether. But then the grip was not as good as it would be in some of the other slippers that I discussed. Much better than in the Sabos, but still nowhere close to like the other slippers that I was wearing. So I couldn't feel very confident every single time that I wore the shoes because of the grip, and I would always have to carry another spare shoe with me whenever I'm traveling or when I'm competing. I'm always carrying two pair of shoes just in case like this is not grippy enough for my sumo deadlift. So grip isn't the best in this shoe compared to some of the other options that are out there, but it's still not the worst, especially if you have like a closer stance sumo, then it is sort of doable because it's so low to the ground that it's really good. But then when you start to go wide, and my sumo deadlift is relatively wide, not so wide for my structure, but then I go as far as it's legally possible, or like where the bar allows me to go. So when I do that stance, if it's a little bit of a slippery surface, maybe some old rubber, or like if it's wood, or even some of the, I haven't used this in the Alico carpet, but then I assume that it would be a bit risky if it slips in a wide sumo stance. So I think grip is of a concern for me, at least in this shoe, especially when I'm deadlifting. When I'm squatting, I recently switched to flat shoes, and this is literally the first flat shoe that I wore for squatting, and my squat isn't anything crazy in terms of technical style, so it's like a medium-ish width stance, so I don't face any problem with the shoe. But one thing I noticed is, like, when I try to adjust for my shoes, like instead of the shoe moving around, like my feet inside the shoe moves, but then this will sort of like flex over just to support for my feet. So like the shoe is in like a little bit of a bent position. I think that's due to the sole being super duper thin, because they're not made to squat obviously, and then it's not like a very solid piece of sole, but it's made to be worn, like, I don't know, carried, something like this. That's how they show it in the website. So it's made to be really small. So I think that's the reason why it moves out a little bit. So I would assume that if you're a very wide stance squatter, then maybe this could wrinkle up a little bit, or like some of the part of the sole may come off the floor. But for me, so far, it hasn't really been a problem, and it is quite a good flat shoe in that sense. And finally, for the bench press, when I wear this shoe for the bench press, because I rely a little bit on the grip of my shoe, because I set up with my feet quite far away from the from my hips. If your hips are like closer to your body, if you have like a wider stance bench and then your feet is under your hips or like relatively closer to your body, then I don't see this being a problem, because like I said, they're not the absolute worst in terms of grip. But if you rely a little bit on the grip, then it could be a little bit of a problem. For me, it really just slips away from me, so I have to opt for some of the other shoes, flat shoe, for a better grip. So this is not a good bench shoe for the style of bench that I do. But like I said, if you rely more on driving through your heels and driving your butt up, then this shouldn't be much of a problem. But I don't like to take the risk, so I always have another shoe with me as well. And yeah, that was basically how I use these shoes for 3 different of my lifts. And I don't think these are the perfect shoes yet, because I still would want a little bit more lateral support if it was possible, because this is quite a firm material. And I also tried some of the other versions of the Vivo. I think it's called the Geo Knit, and that's like a soft finish. So this is still a bit harder plastic, and then the knit is also a bit hard, but I would want a little bit more lateral support and the sole to be a bit more firm, so that it doesn't just keep coming off the floor or like bend over a little bit. But then I think for now, this is gotta be my shoe of choice for squat and deadlift, unless like there's a shoe exactly as low as this, but more lateral support and a solid more grip. But I think when it comes to more grip, then we will have to sacrifice the distance from the floor. So I would be happy with the grip around this level, but then if there was more lateral support, then that would be it. So you could decide between what do you really want in a shoe, what are you looking for. For me, being closest to the ground is the biggest win for me, and it doesn't overslip because it still has some support here and some support here. That's the reason why I'm sticking to this shoe. And yeah, that's my verdict. It's not a perfect shoe, but it's pretty good, and I will be using them for deadlift as long as they don't slip. And for squats, I think I haven't slipped in them so far, and for bench I would be using something else. Another thing to keep in mind is like these shoes are really expensive, so you could probably get like 3 Notorious slippers or some other shoe brand. Even the Sabo deadlift shoes you would get for a much reasonable price than this. So this one around $160 US, and if we convert that to Nepali, it's around 17. And then if you if you import it to Nepal, then it goes to be around 20,000. So which is quite expensive. And for the Nepali crowd, we have our own line of shoes coming. Maybe not the best, but very budget friendly and really close to where the shoes are. If the shoe justifies the cost, then maybe you could go for it, but then it's not really worth the amount of price that you have to pay, and it's not 3 times better than some other slipper that you could buy for this money. And in terms of sizing, these shoes run a bit big just because they have extra toe box space, and then they're not meant to be worn really tight fit. So for powerlifting, I would generally recommend you to go a size down if you're in between sizes, or if you know your true size, then you can go true to size. But these run a little bit big because they have a big toe box on the top, so I would just recommend you size down. And then they also offer they also offer a refund within 100 days, so you could try it out and then see for yourself, and the chart on the website is quite accurate as well. So yeah, I think that was it for the Vivo Primus 3 Lite review. I'm sure I missed out a few points, but I would be happy to help you guys make your purchase decision if you can directly message me on my Instagram handle, or maybe Ox Strength Systems, or just leave a comment down below and we will do our best to get back to you. And if you guys don't know who we are Ox Strength. We're an online training platform. We provide customized training templates, one-on-one coaching for powerlifting, bodybuilding, and general fitness. We also sell supplements and apparel within Nepal. So if you're interested in some of those things, check our website down below, or if you have any other questions, you can always email us, message us on our respective email or Instagram handle. And until next time, be strong.